Hello everybody and welcome to the Australian eCrit series powered by KISS. My name is Jesper Anker and boy I'm excited for this race. So this is the 8th installment of the East eCrit series, as I've got to turn down the volume on my screen. But the 8th edition of the East eCrit series powered by KISS. And I'm looking at the riders on the start line, and the list keeps going on as we've just hit 100 riders signed up for tonight's East eCrit series. But the rider list, we'll get into things once we get going, but tonight, if you've not already gone and gotten yourself maybe a protein shake or a water bottle, you should do it already, because this race is going to be a battle of the giants, clash of the titans. Get ready for some good action out there. So we're going to be racing 7 laps of the counterclockwise volcano course, which of course last time we raced this course it was Troy Herfoss who once again emerged victorious in a big sprint finale up that final ramp into the volcano, and he kept going for the last 200 meters. So if you're not familiar with the eCrit series, it's a race that takes place from April to September every Tuesday at 7 o'clock local Australian time. Points can be gathered from 1st to 20th place. First place gathers a total of 20 points, and 20th place gathers a total of 1 point. And over that period span of time, you gather points, which goes towards an overall standing. And come the 12th of September, the guys or the riders with most points in the East and the West, the 5 most of course, will get an invitation to race at a venue in Melbourne for a live action audience. So your virtual efforts can result in real glory. So jump on your bike, it's not too late, as we got the riders going out on course already. I see Riley Fleming is in here, I see Anthony Deegan Porsche, I see Mr. Ockerby from the Wolfpack Tasmania team, I see, is that Patrick Shaw? I think that may actually be Patrick Shaw of ISO Avanti Cycling, which is a pro-continental team from Australia, rocking that KOM Mountains jersey, already off the front, sitting at 375 absolute watts, which for him is 5 watts per kilo, and they're going to be racing a total of 43 kilometers today out on course, and it looks like Mr. Pat Shaw is giving it a go very early on. So with pro racers such as Pat Shaw in here, and of course you can't forget the likes of Troy Herfoss, Cameron Roberts, who race at national level in Australia and who are very, very strong. They're proving that time and time again in these races. So we see Troy Herfoss sitting towards the back. You got Cameron Roberts also in here, also wearing that KOM jersey out on course. And let's not forget one of my personal favorites out there, Mr. Nazi. So Nazi, if you do not know, is a firefighter by day and then he's a Zwifter by night. I think his Zwifting office is actually in the fire department, so it's actually really cool having Nazi on here. And it just adds to that fact that he's a really strong cyclist who was being used as a, I was going to say pawn, but that's a derogatory term. He's being used very, very well to set up his teammate, his captain, which in this case is Aaron Dunn, who's also leading the overall standings already in the East eCrit series. It's really, really fun as we're heading into the volcano for the first time today. And Ryan McNally, 10 watts per kilogram, first one to launch it up today. And you can see for a second there, it showed you a jersey next to your name. That was actually the Epic KOM. That was the toughest climb on Zwift. Incidentally, he's got the fastest time up that climb, so him going off this early, he can TT for at least 20 minutes at a solid pace. I would not let Mr. McNally from Gold Coast Cycle get off the front here, as he's rocking that Zwift Aero bike with SIP 808 wheels. Further behind, we've got Gentleman Jim and Ockerby, both working at the front of the pack now. Watson reacting to it, maybe just using a little incline to get some momentum going out the tunnel. And maybe now it's settled down a tiny bit. We got caught at the front, McNally, but the fireworks have definitely started going off now. But in the promo, we did say that Wesley Salzberger, who is actually the coach of the Wolfpack Tasmania team, would be here live in the broadcast, but unfortunately due to scheduling errors, Wesley Salzberger could not make it tonight. We're going to hope to reschedule it so he can be here at a further date, but I know from personal experience, Wesley has a bunch of good insight to add to the commentary as well as the broadcast, so I do hope that we can get things in order going forward. So we do apologize for myself and Zwift Community Live as we'll try to get things in order going forward. But look, I'm really happy to see the pack has grown out as much as it has. I've been following the eCrit series since week 1. We've now been in 8 weeks, which is, hit the microphone, it's 2 months. 2 months of Australian fast-paced racing out on course. From day 1 now to week 8, we've seen a massive increase in competitors, in the level of the playing field, and just the overall excitement out on course. We have Gentleman Jim and Nazi, there goes our firefighter. He can smell the fire, and he's trying to put it out as he pops that aero power up 4 kilometers into the race, 1/10 of the way done, and Nazi already with a 5-second gap on the peloton. He's got Gentleman Jim in the middle ground, and Hassan. Hassan is another rider who's a newcomer to the eCrit series, who's been slowly making a name for himself. I remember last week he was very prominent at the front, and this week he's once again doing some of the work for the riders behind as he's chasing Nazi and dragging along the main peloton. But Nazi's not giving up so easily. He's racing for that Wolfpack Tasmania team. They've got Nazi, who's currently in the break. They've got Aaron Dunn, who's the current leader. They've got Ockerby, and I'm sure they've got a few more riders in there. Fixie Joel is another rider who you would expect to have quite a gear on him out there if he's racing on a Fixie. I wonder what a Fixie on Zwift would feel like. Maybe that's something you should try out there if you're watching right now. Maybe as a fun April Fool's experiment. Who knows? So Nazi, 6 seconds. We've got Ockerby, who's playing the role of being a roadblock at the front. He goes to the front, puts down the pace, and so nobody else can catch up to Nazi. He's now got 6 seconds. They can visualize the gap, but this could be in vain. It looks really prominent, and I don't think he's attacking with in mind that this is going to stick all the way to the finish line as we're starting the first of 7 laps of the counterclockwise Volcano Circuit out on course. So taking a look from above, we'll see that this pack is slowly thinning out actually, as riders are being spat out the back as the pace goes up through the roof, and riders from all different, well, I was going to say cycling clubs and bike nationalities. Most of them are Australians. Most of them are riding Swift Arrows, Trek Madones, Saveros with Sib 808 wheels. And then if you just look at the jerseys, several good and nice jerseys like the Cycling Canberra you see on the left. There's the Gold Coast, and I believe there are a few other local Australian cycling clubs also in the game. Looking further down to see how people are doing and taking a look at their heart rates. Cameron Roberts sitting at 170. We know he usually, when he's in the hurt zone, he's around 185, 190, so he's got a few beats to work with. Troy Herfoss, the juggernaut that you're going to try to beat today, the guy you're going to try to dethrone, as he's currently the king of the southern east region of Australia. He's been winning pretty much every single race for a good 3 weeks in a row, except for that 1 week he was in Sydney and talking to Matt Keenan, talking to us, talking to the Aussie Hump Day Ride guys that are out there, just being generally awesome, chatting with people. And so he has actually managed to go from not raced at all in the eCrit series for about 4 weeks to 5th place. He's inserted himself into top 5 and is currently on pace to get a spot in that live racing finale in Melbourne come late September. So it just shows you that it's never too late. If you're sitting out there and you're thinking, this sounds promising, this sounds fun, I should give this a go. I'm a pretty strong national level rider and I like watching Zwift, I like doing my workouts, maybe I should give this a go. Well, jump on, because it's never too late. You've got another, well, we're in June now, so you've got another 2 months of racing, another 8 weeks out there on course. So get on, start gaining points. It's never too late. You may have seen a few powers being popped out there already. We are racing under the KISS rules, meaning keep it simple, stupid, meaning everything is allowed. If you got a power up, you can pop it. If you want to use a TT bike, you're allowed to switch. I mean, if you want to race without a helmet, you can do that as well, as we see several riders out there choosing to forego the safe and nice helmet choice. You never know if you might fall off the trainer. It has been known to happen to a few people out there. I'm not going to name any names, but I also see the name Linton Savatsky. Linton Savatsky is a strong rider, but he's not raced that many editions out here, out on the Zwift eCrit series actually. I spoke to him shortly in Melbourne, and he was like, you know, Jesper, I really want to just forego, I almost want to just leave road racing behind and focus on the eCrit for the next 2 months. And it looks like he's actually been making that jump, making that decision. He's been racing the last 3 weeks, I think it is, out in here in the Eastern eCrit, and he is known for being a master tactician. He is so good at popping a power-up at the right moment, like timing his effort. Last week, I think he finished second behind Troy Herfoss going into the sprint, but he popped the aero power-up going under Admiralty Arch on the London Classics course, and he held at least 10 watts per kilo for 600 meters with the aero power-up, and he caught everyone off guard, even though he did it 2 weeks prior to that. It's just such a good move, and it shows you that at the end of the day, Zwift is a game. Zwift is gamified fitness, which makes it fun. Because in the real world, if you go into a race, it may not always be that easy to do a reconnaissance, meaning go out checking the route, checking the turns, checking where to do your efforts. But since Zwift is a game and it's easy accessible for anyone, Linton Savatsky has done several other races that are not the eCrit series, where he is trained and he has perfected that sprint finish on the Classics course, and come the time where he actually needs to perform well in the eCrit series, he's just bang on the money. And speaking of being bang on the money, is that Troy Herfoss? It is indeed. Troy, the boss, has gone off the front now, and who's going to react to this? We've got Nazi, Ockerby, we've definitely got WP Taz with a bit of money at stake here. They've got a foot in the door as they're trying to set Aaron Dunn up, who's currently sitting in first place, over 115 points tallied up so far. And that's why they're sending Nazi and Ockerby in the break, just to nullify Troy Herfoss, because they want pace with him. They make the break, they're gonna go in, and they're just gonna put on the brakes. They're gonna sit on, and they're gonna be dead weight, meaning Troy Herfoss is gonna be carrying around dumbbells on his back in the shape of Nazi and Ockerby out on course, as Linton Savatsky has also made the jump. A solid attack as the pack is now stretched out, and we have echelons. It looks like the group is going to be split in two, coming under the start-finish banner here with 6 laps to go out on course. Good racing so far, and I remind you, there are in total 43 kilometers of racing today, so another 33 kilometers out on course, and these guys, they're not holding back any punches. This is the title weight championships and the heavyweight bout. They're all about to throw everything they've got and leave nothing. Nobody's throwing in the white towel. Nobody's backing out. It's going to be a TKO from either side of the ring tonight. That is so much I can definitely tell you, as we have some big guys in the racing. Earlier we did have Patrick Shaw of ISO Avanti Racing, but it looks like he was just a passenger today, a pedestrian, a witness to the, the captivity that is the eCrit series, and looks like he has dropped off the back early. We've got Ben Hill, who is recovering from a broken collarbone, also another pro-continental rider from Australia, and looks like he's struggling off the back. We're going to give him that ride on to tell him to get back on, because right now he's in a world of hurt. He's in no man's land. It seems like no matter what he does, he can't get back on, but you just got to keep fighting, Ben. Once you get back on, once you suck into that back wheel, it's going to get so much easier. I say so much easier. It's a difference between going 9 watts per kilo and 4.5 watts per kilo, so you're going to halve your effort, but you're going to actually, in the grand scheme of things, you're going to lower your heart rate. But you being a pro-continental, pro-racer, you probably know this, and it looks like Ben Hill has perfectly timed his way to come back on the bike as he's rocking that WBR kit out on course. Solid effort from Ben as he's made his way back onto the group. And the group has thinned out substantially now, so we also have Mr. Aiden out here. I was made aware of his efforts last week by my good friend Anthony Vegan Porsche, who said, Jesper, this is gonna, he said this last week, Jesper, today, Coach Aiden is gonna jump in the race, and I know him personally, he's a really strong rider. You better be keeping a keen eye on him, because you never really know which side of him is going to turn out. One day he could be on the amazing form, he could attack off the front, and he can just split up the pack, and another he'll just sit in and wait for the sprint finish. So with that in mind, we're going to keep an eye out on Coach Aiden, who's sitting with that Wahoo kicker kit. An excellent smart trainer of choice. There's another attack is going off the front, and I think that is Gentleman Jim once again. And who else but Cameron Roberts and Troy Herfoss. Cameron Roberts and Troy Herfoss. This is the move you want to be in now. If we look over the shoulder, we see several riders. We saw Anthony Vegan Porsche and Nazi both think about it for a second. But if Cameron Roberts and Troy Herfoss, the boss, can get off the front, I'm afraid to say it, but I don't think that group is going to come back. Cameron and Troy know each other personally from real life. They raced with each other at the national level. They're both very similar in racing styles, as they can hold massive wattage for a long period of time, being very strong time trialists. And so if they can work together, they can get that 5 seconds of respite, take the front, 5 seconds of respite, and it just adds up in the grand scheme of things. As we're seeing Troy now, he's got 3 seconds up to Cameron. He's in a bit of a no man's land. He's gotta have to make a decision here to either catch up to Cameron or wait for the pack behind, and it looks like he is taking the latter option, and he's waiting for the pack behind. The Volcano course so far, the fastest lap around has been set by Mr. Ockerby at 5 minutes and 8 seconds. I believe last week the fastest lap we saw was just under 5 minutes. I urge you to go try that yourself, to go under 5 minutes on this course. It is damn near impossible. So these guys are really going hard today out on course. If you're not familiar with who Troy Herfoss is off the bike, he is the Australian MotoGP champion, defending champion, actually back-to-back consecutive Australian MotoGP champion. And when he's not busy bossing it on the motorbike, he is busy, you know, trucking along on the push bike, as he's rocking that Trek Madone out there with the Strava kit. Looking further to the front now. This is the one of the segments. So this is the one segment on the course where a lighter, a more explosive rider who maybe not be packing that long, extensive sprint, that's where you can really make the difference. That's where you can lead into the gradient, attack over the top, and then keep it into the volcano. And thinking back, I'm thinking like an Anthony Vegan Porsche. This is where, if he's got the legs, this is where he would need to attack, because he's sitting in the high 50s, low 60s kilo-wise, and with that, it's really difficult to beat sprinters out there, because on Zwift, when it's a terrain, when it's a gradient, it's the watts per kilo that are the dominant factor. But when it's a flat course, it's the absolute watts, which you see up in the corner, which do most of the talking. So when you are a lighter weight, or when you're a lighter weight rider, that means you're going to go much faster uphill. That's just the law of gravity. But on flatter circuits, it's that absolute watts that matter more. So if you are Anthony Vegan Porsche, who's currently sitting second overall in the standings, and by the way, Anthony, I didn't get a check-in from you this morning. Usually, Anthony gives me a quick check-in to tell me how he's feeling on the day, but he just skipped that this morning, and whether or not that means he's feeling just on par, or if he's might be struggling a tiny bit, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. As we're finishing another lap out on course now, and it's still all together, but several riders out there not too happy with the fact that it's still together at this point in the race, and they're trying to break it up as usual. And with Nazi, Troy, Cameron, Pat, I mean, with all these riders in the race, you would expect them to try and break it up as we go along. And our gentleman Jim, another rider, heading off the front and just setting up the pace. And look, it looks like he is racing unaffiliated, so this is for his own glory, as he is trying to up the pace off the front now. But 20 minutes into the race, it's still very early on, as it looks like we're aiming to have a finish time of 45 minutes out on course. So still several kilometers, several minutes of racing left. Is that Dr. Taka? I think that might actually be Dr. Taka. If you're not familiar with who he is, head over to Instagram, search Dr. Taka. I think he's actually a pedestrian in this group. Or is he racing? Let's take a look. I did see him in there. I think Dr. Taka might actually be racing here. Let's take a look. I have not seen him so far in the peloton, but if not, it looks like he might just be a pedestrian out on course, being overhauled the onslaught that is the East eCrit Series. Whew, what a race so far. I mean, several riders trying to attack off the front. Nothing set in stone yet. Several of the big gunners in here sitting at resting heart rates near the front. They've got that shark instinct. They can just smell blood, and then they'll tag off the front. As we're on board with Nazi, who is rocking that Trump bike. And look, and he's over the handlebars, and he's upping it up once again. This may be a command that was put in by Aaron Dunn, saying, you know what? I fear we're going to have an attack from Troy, Cameron. What about you, Nazi? You attack off the front. You set down the pace. You discourage the rest of attacking. And then this time it is Hassan who's going off the front. Another aero power-up being popped. The aero power-up makes you go faster for about 60 seconds out on course. It is by far the strongest and most effective power-up you can gain out on course, and every single time they go underneath that start-finish banner, they're gonna get some sort of power up, whether it's an arrow, feather, boost, draft boost, or the dreaded experience power up. Because let's face it, most of us, we're level 25 by now. Of course, I'm level 23, but hey, most of these guys are level 25 who are sitting at 5 watts per kilo, just around that average FTP. But Nazi and Hassan have actually made a substantial gap now. 10 seconds down, and it looks like Aaron Dunn's grand plan. This is a great strategy from the Wolfpack Tasmania team, sending Nazi off the front now, making it so that the rest of the WP Task Riders don't have to work for it. They have to just sit in and rest, as Aaron Dunn, he maxes out of about 185, 190 beats per minute, and you can see he's sitting at 140, so he's got several beats to work with now, as we've got Nazi off the front with a 10-second gap. Who is going to be the first one to react to this? And we do actually have Dr. Taka, who is in the race. So Mr. Chan, Dr. Taka, is racing the East eCrit Series. This is almost like royalty, but more in the scientific department, as we've got Dr. Taka racing the Eastern eCrit Series by KISS. I mean, all glory to you, hail to you, as this is going to be a great race out on course. We definitely have all the big juggernauts racing this one. This is interesting. If this can be kept up, if this level of participation, competition, and excitement can be kept up over the next 8 weeks of racing, I think we're heading into a great winter in Australia. Now, again, at the front, let's take a look at that gap to the front group. We've got Hassan and Nazi, and they've been caught on this incline. Being a firefighter has its benefits, but I do believe that Nazi is one of the heavier riders because he's got to carry those oxygen tanks, which makes him a bit heavier, and when coming to that slight incline, he's going to lose about 5 seconds every single time up that. But we'll see what engines he can stir up. And now Cameron Roberts, 7 watts per kilogram. He had a very successful weekend, I do believe, following his Instagram. He finished on the podium in a local race, and we'll see if he can do that once again here in the eCrit series, as Ben Hill has made his way to the front. Ben Hill struggling off the back at 10 watts per kilogram, got his heart rate down, and he went to the front, and now he's attacking with 4 laps to go. 4 laps means 16 kilometers left of exciting eCrit racing here this lovely Tuesday evening in Australia. And again, if you're enjoying this broadcast, make sure to hit that like button below here on the Facebook page. We broadcast all sort of racing, whether it's eCrit, East, or it is KISS Europe, KISS Americas. I mean, several good races every Tuesday and Thursday, and the only way to stay up today is either by clicking that like button or clicking the follow button here on the Go Zwift Facebook page. We've got a group off the front now. It is Cameron Roberts, we got Watson, we got Aaron Dunn making the move of things now, and I'm liking that. Whether or not that is a conscious decision by Aaron Dunn to rock the orange/yellow neon wheels to prove that he's actually the current leader overall, whether or not that's conscious, whether or not that's a purposely made decision, I like it. I dig it. That is a awesome way to prove that you're currently the leader to watch out for out on course. Again, during these 8 weeks of broadcasting the eCrit series, I know several of you have written into me going, Jesper, you're great and all, but we need to teach you some Aussie slang. We need you to get you up to date. We need to give you a rule book of what to say when you're on the comms duty. So if you're watching right now, please do help me in the comment section below with some Aussie slang that I can inject into these broadcasts. I've already picked up Too Easy and Fair Dinkum, I think it is as well, and Ripper of an Effort. So those are 3 terms that I'm trying to incorporate when I find the time, but not being an Australian native, it's kind of difficult, as you guys have a funny way of doing things, but I absolutely love it, as I spent 10 days being down under just 2 weeks ago, and absolutely captivated by the Australian culture, by the riding in Melbourne and Sydney. Went on an RCC club ride in Sydney, just perfect. Australia, you're really, really awesome, so that much I can say. Looking at the front, Gentleman Jim, Riley Fleming, Hassan, Leach, Hogan, Tolhurst, Porsche, Dr. Taka, Troy, Cameron. All the big riders are in there, Don, Nazi, Ockerby. I think it's going to be a bit of a lull in the action now. So we've had our heart rate all the way up. We've got our heart all the way up into our throat. Several riders have tried to attack. There will be lactic acid floating around the legs, but we've reached a point in the race where riders are going to start thinking, okay, I can see there are about 4 laps to go. There's another 20 kilometers out on course. Am I really going to attack? Am I really going to go attack now when we're just going to get caught? Actually, sorry, it's 33 kilometers, not 43. I've been saying 43, it's 33. So 12 more kilometers out on course. But we've reached a point where the riders are going to start to think inward, and they go, I'm starting to kind of feel these attacks. I'm going to wait it. I'm going to save it up for one big explosion. I'm going to open my matchbook, and you know it so very well. You're going to take your flamethrower, and you're just going to obliterate every single match in your book, and then you're going to see if it burns all the way down, or if it succeeds. That's the only way you can do it just about now with 13 kilometers to go. It's 40 minutes of high-intensity training, and now you've got to start playing the strategic side of things. Because cycling, the reason why it's so good is that it's not only the legs that do the talking, but you also got to be working up here on the upper floor. You've got to take that elevator from your legs and wait and reach up here halfway through the race. And that's when you start to making the decisions that in the end will make or break the victory for you. So it'll be another lap or two before we'll see another attack. But on the final lap, we're going to see Nazi, Troy, and Cameron. They've been saving up. They've been compressing air in those legs, and at some point that air can't get compressed anymore, and it'll be and you'll just see that fuse light off as they go off the front. We've got Troy going off the attack already, maybe hearing the cue that he's got to attack now, which is going off the front, but again, I think this is just utilizing the free watts he gains from this gradient, because he hits it with so much speed, so much cadence, that when he hit the gradient, you'll actually get 2 or 3 pedal strokes before you're thinking about it, adding 50 watts, and that's what he's doing just now, going off the front. 6 seconds, he's being followed by Cameron Roberts again. 3 seconds. If they can keep this up, this could be the decisive move. We may just see that match would be burned with 3 laps to go as the ride-ons keep raining in. If you're watching out there, and if you're watching somebody, if you're keeping a keen eye on a family member, a friend, or maybe a teammate, or a nearby rival, how about you turn on the Zwift mobile link about and you give them a ride-on? We've seen the ride-ons come in on Troy, Cameron, and several other riders. But how about we give them a ride-on for their efforts as they keep digging deep, as they keep finding something they didn't think they had in them now, as we're watching Cameron Roberts with 3 laps to go on the Cervelo bike, rocking that cum jersey as he got earlier today, going up the forward KOM here, which we showcased down under last week. We saw in several good times, and now we've got Cameron Roberts off the front. 6 seconds, 7 seconds. It is time to get out your stopwatch, start taking every single second, every single millisecond. It's going to start to add up now as riders are tired. 10 kilometers to go, 3 laps left of riding now. 6 seconds, 5 seconds, Newell is on the front, Johnston is on the front. We've got Aaron Dunn sitting near the front, being attentive. It looks like Nazi may just have blown a casket already, as it's all alone for Aaron Dunn of the WP task. He does have Ockerby further down, but he's sitting pretty isolated and has to react to attacks on his own now. It looks like several riders are upping the pace. Aaron Dunn sitting third wheel, he's sitting in that P3 position. He knows what to keep an eye out for now. Savatsky also making his way up there. Ryla Fleming, another strong rider. So we've got Ockerby and Nazi sitting further down and ready to react at any moment's time. This is going to be a great race, a great finale to the 8th race here in the eCrit series. More points are going to be gathered. Are we going to see Aaron Dunn extend his lead at the very top, or are we going to see new races trying to break their way into top 5 like Savatsky, like Troy making his way further up into the rankings? If we had to break it down, and we're thinking about the great sprinters in this course, or in this race, you're going to have to think, I say this time and time again. I caught up with Troy 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he said, Jesper, I'm not really a sprinter. I'm going to keep attacking off the front. But so far, he's undefeated in sprints that I've commentated on. But that may just change today, as Valentin Savatsky is here, and I've not seen him race yet here on the counterclockwise Volcano Circuit. And of course, we've got Mr. Aaron Dunn. Those are the 3 riders who will probably make up the podium if it comes down to a mass sprint, where Aaron Dunn is going to get let out by Nazi and Ockerby. And I spoke to Aaron Dunn after last week's race on the Classics course, and Dunn said, man, I had the sprint. I timed it right. I just popped the aero power up too late. And to put it into perspective, Aaron Dunn did a 9:29 on the London Mall sprint, which is absolutely insane. To go that fast, it takes balls of steel. But in the end, he only finished like third. So Aaron Dunn has what it takes to beat Troy Herfuss in the sprint, but it comes down to timing, it comes down to finesse, it comes down to positioning, all the anatomy of a sprint. You've got to have the legs, you've got to be in the right position, and you've got to have the brains to launch at the right moment. For a second there, it looked like we had another attack off the front, but it was just a leg opener by one of the riders popping a drafting boost and trying to see how everyone else is feeling now. 9 kilometers to go. We're about to have 2 laps of racing left as Fixie Joel is taking it up on the front, sitting at a good 400 watts, sitting at 3.8 watts per kilogram. We've got Mr. O'Brien from the Aussie Hump Day ride, which is another great Australian ride. If you're racing today and you're thinking, I like this group ride dynamic, well, tomorrow at the exact same starting time, 10 o'clock British time, 7 o'clock local Australian time, is the Aussie Hump Day ride, which is a great social ride where you get to chat, you get to do a bit of working out on endurance, and then last but not least, there's the after party where you can get to prove that you are the strongest Aussie down under with a fair dinkum effort. Ben Hill sitting in 5th place as well. He is the unknown factor together with Coach Aiden here. I mean, Ben Hill, he put out a tweet the other day saying, I finally managed to reach 1,000 watts again after my collarbone injury, thanks to Go Zwift and What's Today's Plan. So we'll see if Ben Hill can replicate that effort in today's sprint finish. But this sprint finish is a bit of a tricky approach because we're just seeing it right now. This is about 700 meters to go now. It starts to ramp up and you start to put in the pace. When you get to the top, and the sprint already starts here, you get to the top, you go left, and that's where you need to kick it even higher up. And then you have another 200 meters with another incline where you've got to empty your reserves. This is a cruel sprint, a cruel sprint that's going to require everything you've got left to take the victory. Because it's about 700 meters of everything you've got. Because you're going to be attacked going into the sprint. You're going to be attacked going out of the sprint. You're going to be attacked going on the final little approach as you're seeing the switchbacks now. And this is where the gradient starts to kick up, which you can see up there in the left corner. As I'm just reaching out of the commentator box. You can see the gradient kicking up to 5 watts per kilo. Sorry, up to 5%. And this is where you want to go all out. This is where you make the difference. This is where you can use the fact that if you're a smart trainer, it's going to change resistance and you can kick out just an extra watt says. We now have 2 laps to go. 2 fast flying laps of the Volcano counterclockwise circuit. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how this is going to end just yet. With all the riders out here and with Newell going off the front at 7 watts per kilogram, but Johnston ready and reactive to this task. I don't know how this is going to figure out. I don't know how this is going to pan out just yet. If McNally pops an aero power up, usually at this point in the race, with about 7 kilometers to go, you've almost got a feel for the race, and you kind of know who's going to come out victorious, looking at the efforts, looking at how they've been panning out. But I will not call this race just yet. It could end in a sprint, it could end in a solo breakaway, it could end in a bunch attack off the front, up the hill. That's why this course is my favorite course to watch live eCrit racing on, because it's so well designed. It's got every single element you'd want to crit racing. It's got every single possible solution to every question at hand. So that's why this is going to be fun to watch now, as we have 7 kilometers to go. 40 minutes of racing in total today, and we still have a massive pack out on course. About 15 to 20 riders still all together. Who's going to be the first one to open the ball? Who's going to ask the nice ladies to dance? We'll just have to wait and see now. Cameron Roberts has gone up the front now. We got Troy moving his way up now. Just paying attention to seeing who else has got it in them now to go onto the attack. This is where necessarily you don't actually want to be the first one to start the ball. You kind of want to be the follow-up act, as all the eyes will be on the first set of dances. But if you come second, everyone else will be dancing, and you won't have so many eyes on you. That's how you're gonna approach these attacks. You kind of gotta have some finesse to it. You've got to time it for the right moment now. Savatsky making his way to the front. He is obviously trying to save it for a sprint finish, as we know he's got about 17 to 18 watts per kilogram in him. Coming into that sprint finish, Brian McNally is a rider who could easily go off the front. It was one of the first riders to attack, but we'll see how they're gonna pen this one out now, as it's WP Taz laying down the hammer on the front now with 3 riders. They've got the numbers with Fixie Joe, Ockerby, Nazi, and Aaron Dunn. While I do believe they might actually have Wesley Salzberger on comms telling them what to do, being the sports directive out on course. A featherweight being popped over on the right side now, as you can kind of feel the tension once again. We're coming to that sprint finish. Everyone is trying to lower their heart rate. Everyone's trying to sit in, get the cadence up, but get the heart rate down now, as we are approaching that final yet destructive lap of the eCrit series. As we've had a sub 5 time out on course now, set by Mr. Tolhost. A sub 5 time. That is amazing. That is so fast out on course. All respect to Tolhost with a 4:54. Solid effort from him out on course now. So we're making our way back up the front, following with Brian McNally here. We've got 5 kilometers left. We're about to approach the final lap of tonight's eCrit series. If you enjoyed this broadcast, do please let us know over on Zwift Community Live, or here in Zwift, or in the Zwift Oz group. All feedback is greatly appreciative, as we're now heading in to the final lap, ladies and gentlemen. They're about to hear the cowbell swinging as we're heading into the final lap. It is all or nothing. These guys are going to start to tighten up their, their pedals, or their shoes. They're going to start to get in the right set of mind. They're going to take the last swig of the water bottle, and they're going to chuck it over. They're going to take the towel. They're going to wipe off their sweat, and then they're going to chuck that as well. They're going to be lightweight. They're going into this finale. Everyone looking over their shoulder, not wanting to be the first one to go now, as we're heading up to the front. Who is the one putting down the affairs on the front? Looks to be Gentleman Jim putting down the pace on the front, wearing that nice camo Zwift kit now, as the pace has been relentless so far, averaging about 4.6, 4.7 watts per kilogram across the board now, as Gentleman Jim hitting up 9 watts. We got Ockerby, Leach, but now the question is, when am I going to see that attack? We know it's inevitable. We know it's going to happen. It will definitely come from Cameron Roberts if he's still in this group. Cameron Roberts will give it one last go. That much I can promise you, as we'll go on board with him at the back. You can see Cameron and Troy sitting at the back, assessing the situation. Cameron will go at some point now. We got 1 lap to go. He's sitting at the back. He's got 25, 30 beats to work with still, as he's now making his way back up the front. You're going to start to see that ticker on the right side hit 1 lap to go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get ready for 4 kilometers of fast-paced racing now. Power-ups being popped left, right, and center. Who's going to be the first one to attack off the front? Tolhost was the guy with a 4:54 time on this course, so we know he's got it in him to go off the front early if he wants to keep going with it. Aaron Dunn now sitting in as well. Actually, Aaron has gone on to the attack. Our current leader is spicing up things, and he's throwing pepper on this curry as he's gone off the front. 5-second gap. Ockerby again playing that role of roadblock. He's sitting at 2 watts per kilogram, blocking the road, giving Aaron Dunn a gap. But Anthony Vegan Porsche is having none of this. Now sitting at 4.5 watts per kilo, 4 seconds back. But this is a brave move by Aaron Dunn. I tip my hat to you, sir. This is a solid effort. Knowing you've got that sprint, but still going off the front. We do not know if he's bluffing or actually holding a pair of aces now, because this is Mr. Aaron Dunn going all in for all the marbles now, as he's got 2 seconds. It looks like this attack will be in vain with 3 kilometers to go now, though. But this is mad respect. That was a fair dinkum effort once again for Aaron Dunn, having the cojones to go off the front like that. When you do have a great sprint on you, now to see his heart rate go back down again, but the pace is going to be through the roof, and the time for resting is over, and the time for paying attention is now on. Let's take a look. Where is Cameron Roberts? I'm still expecting that attack any second now. He's sitting at the back with Troy Herfoss. What are the 2 guys planning? What are they teaming? Something has to go now. Something has to give. 3 kilometers to go, and they're still both sitting at the back. Either they're playing mind games with the entire group, or they're just not feeling it tonight. We'll have to see now. So we're heading in, Volcano, we're going to go through it, we're going to come out on the other side, we're going to go right back, and we're going to head into the sprinters. We're sitting in the back, and we've got the view of the pack now. Several riders have been spat out the back, but it's still one of the biggest collective groups of the entire series so far now. As Cameron Roberts and Troy Harefoot sitting at the back. Now, you also have to start assessing which power-up do you have. If you have a featherweight power-up, you need to use it on that incline going into the sprint finish. You need to launch it there. And I think we have an attack off the front. A rider may have just gone already with the feather power-up. That is Watson at 8 watts per kilogram with Hassan kicking it off as well. Now we've got about 1.5 kilometers to go. 1.5 kilometers of eCrit racing. If you've got an aero power-up, you've got to pop it flattening out just over the top. That's where you got to pop it. If you have a drafting power-up, well, pop it whenever, because there's not going to be much of use going into that sprint. And of course, if you got the experience, that's where you take another chuck in your gel and you go, well, it is what it is. I've now got to do the legs. I've got to let the legs do the talking. Now we're going to turn right, we're going to turn left, we're going to do the flat session. It started raining, so the scene is set. The big guns are going to come out, and there will be casualties. There will be guys left in the dirt. And who's it going to be? The scene is set, rain is coming down, the wind is coming in. I'm getting a deep breath all around now, deep breaths. Because this is going to be an explosive finale. Several riders have saved up something for the finish. Savatsky's in here, Troy's in here, you've got Cameron Roberts, you've got Aaron Dunn, you've got Riley Fleming, you've got all these riders in the front now that will have something left in the tank. Mr. Hassan now, featherweight power up, an early featherweight with 1.3 kilometers to go, and here comes Hogan with an aero power up. Hogan has gone early with 1.3 as well. He saw Hassan opened the ball, and then Hogan asked the pretty lady to dance. 8 watts per kilogram, Savatsky, next one to react to this with another featherweight. You can see they're heading up the gradient, but it's misty. They can't see the riders in front of them now. It's all over the place. Riders left, right, and center with the watts all the way through the roof. 700 meters, featherweight being pumped from Troy Harefoot. You got Lynch, you got Hogan, you got Walsh, you got McNally, Savatsky, Hill, Fleming, Harefoot, Roberts. Everyone is all together. This is gonna come down to the wire now. It's Brian McNally up to 12 watts per kilogram with that aero power up. You got Oggy, you got Ben Hill hitting 13 watts per kilogram. Could this be the return of Ben Hill from a collarbone injury? But it looks like it's going to be a tough task to catch McNally. But this is where he could go off the front. McNally at 8 watts per kilogram. Huckabee, Savatsky with a very late attack. Is he going to come around at the very end? No, it's going to be Ben Hill. Ben Hill takes the victory. Ben Hill. So if you don't know, Ben Hill is a pro racer in Australia who broke his collarbone, who's been working to come back. And Ben Hill takes the first victory in the eCrit series. Well done, man. Well done. Sorry for the shoddy camera work. There were so many riders popping aero power-ups left, right, and center. Watts were through the roof, and I didn't know who to fall. That's how good that finish was. And hats off to all the racers. That was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for putting out all the effort. If you want to know the final results, head over to swiftpower.com. There will be the final results finalized later tonight. I think Ben Hill won, but I have no words. It looked like Troy had nothing left, Cameron had nothing left, Dunn attacked early, Huckabee went for it. Ladies and gentlemen, the eCrit is officially on.